Good morning and welcome. It's Home and Community-Based Services Month. We do celebrations for an entire month. We like to come and celebrate with all of you with a devotion and treat you to cookies and do a little bit more education about home and community-based services. Are there any introductions to be made today? No? Okay. And I don't have any additional announcements to make. And so today there are some papers on your tables, and I really encourage you to please read those. It has some information for you about hospice and home health, services at home, senior companions program, and telehealth, all areas that we cover in home and community-based services, and it'll give you some of the facts from each of those areas. And also, we're going to be focused more today on hospice, not that they're any more or less important than the others. Nicole's like not agreeing with me down here. They are the best, but just in an effort to go a little bit deeper with you on our hospice programs and what that means and how it touches lives. Hospice may have touched your life personally with family or yourself. And if it hasn't, it probably will in the future, and it's really good to have that information, even if you're not a direct caregiver in that area. So the first thing that I would like to do is to have all of the staff in the home and community-based services stand, would you please, so I can recognize all of you. You've been working very hard, and I appreciate it. And for those of you that are watching, God bless you. We have some remote workers, and there's several of you in this room that work very closely with us in home and community-based services, supporting us on the backside, some of the guts around what we do. Would you all stand, any of you that help us in home and community-based services? You're greatly appreciated. Did you know that our hospice, we have 6 agencies, 2 branches, and a GIP unit? What's a GIP unit? I heard some of it, General Inpatient Care Unit, all right. That's one of the 4 levels that Medicare has for hospice care, and it's a service that allows skilled care for our patients with clinical services 24 hours a day, up to usually 7 days, for critical things that have happened that really make it impossible to care for them in their home. So general inpatient is what it means. They go inpatient for a little while to have whatever symptom came up that is not being controlled to be controlled, such as uncontrolled vomiting or pain or wounds, and there's several of those that an individual can come in for. We stabilize them and they go back to their home again. Home health has 31 agencies and 9 branches. Services at home has 12 agencies and 11 branches. Senior Companions is part of our Services at Home and HCBS, and their office is located here at National Campus, down on the ground floor, kind of under where we are in HCBS. They were started in 1978, so they're 40 years old, and Good Samaritan has been their sponsor the entire time. And so we love having Senior Companions part of what we do and the service that they provide. They have an office here in Sioux Falls and another office in Rapid City as well. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Good Samaritan story. First of all, it's one of my favorite stories. I've used it a lot because we're called a Good Samaritan from Luke 10, verses 30 through 35. But also it really touches me for home and community-based services, as I'll explain as we get to the end. But in reply, Jesus said, "A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came to where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him, he bandaged his wounds, pouring oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey and brought him to an inn and took care of him. The next day, he took out 2 coins and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for the extra expense you may have. We all know from history that there were classes of people back then, some of the reasoning for how the story unfolded. And the priest and the Levite would be unclean if they came in contact with a dead person. And there's still perceived classes today, even in America. And you know that some of those exist, some prejudice that exist. It's just different today than it was back then. But from the parable, as we listen to this and read about it from Christ, every one of us needs to be that person that stops by the side of the road and helps those that are less fortunate, injured, or hurt. And that's something as Christians that we're obligated to do. From the parable, we learn the principles about who is our neighbor. When I was little, I honestly thought it was the next door neighbor until I learned of all of our neighbors that we have. The lack of love often is easy to justify, even though it's never right. Our neighbor is any one of us, race, creed, or social background, who is in need. Love means acting to meet the person's needs. Wherever you live, there are needy people close by, and there's no good reason for refusing to help them. I have used this verse many times, but as I think of home and community-based services and some of the facts, you'll see the staff are out on the roads. They're going down those paths every day in order to engage with our patients and our clients that we're visiting. And I've heard many stories about the times that actually our staff have stopped along that road on the way to our patient to even help others. And I've heard stories about staff whose cars broke down, and it was cold and there was snow, and it was nothing to walk a couple of miles to get to a patient because they needed us that desperately. So I want you to think of that when we think of the Good Samaritan. I challenge each one of you to stop along the road for those around you, treat people with kindness and love, and have their back. So with hospice being our focus this year, some of you may have read the story in the news feed, and of all the things for me to talk about is casinos and gambling. But I'm going to read a story for you from one of our hospice agencies and a program that they have. And programs like this are being started up around our hospice with Nicole and Carrie working with them on this as well. But this is from Ottumwa, Iowa. And during a Good Samaritan hospice admission, the patients are asked, is there anything you would like to do one more time? This patient said that she didn't know how to reply at first, but after some thought, she wanted to go to the casino, where she and her late husband had spent a lot of fun times together. So at Good Samaritan Society Hospice in Ottumwa, the program referred to as Sentimental Journey offers patients who are willing and able to participate to do something special. And so the funds are donated to the location for this. So it doesn't come out of our operating funds, and it helps to fuel that wish that that person has. One person had requested a visit to a museum with his wife, another to a Cubs baseball game, but this one with Naomi, both wheelchair-bound and oxygen-dependent, was getting everything that she would need for that trip to the Prairie Meadows Casino, about 80 miles away. 17 family and friends met her there. She spent the day playing the slot machines, surrounded by those she loved with joyful tears in her eyes. Afterwards, the Society's Sentimental Journey program paid for the family to sit down and have a meal together. Naomi had a wonderful time. And it wasn't about winning that day for Naomi at all. She said her favorite part was when all of her grandkids could see her having a good day. And also, it essentially let us be a family on vacation. Wonderful, wonderful, she said. Naomi's son Phil said it was a heartwarming day. She and Dad traveled there often to Las Vegas, and it was something that they really enjoyed. This experience showed her that hospice isn't about dying, it's about the best you can be. And we're so thankful that we found this society. So I think that's such a touching story, and there's many more of those, not just in hospice, but in services at home and home health that I hope to be able to share with you over the years. The next thing that I have to share with you is an article that was written out also in one of our agencies, and lots of times there's misconceptions about hospice. And so I'm going to help you with some of those misconceptions. So if you're challenged with hospice in the future, you'll maybe have a little better understanding. Let's look at the most glaring non-truths. So these are the things that you might hear when you're in discussions and they are not true. Hospice means you're at death's door, and we've had people say that and they don't want it because it scares them. That's not true. That's not what hospice is about. Hospice means no other treatment will take place. Not true. Hospice is a place. Hospice means giving up hope, or hospice ends when the patient dies, and hospice is time limited. So none of those are true. The exciting part is the truth. Patients who come into hospice are persons nearing death with an expectation of about 6 months or less to live. So you will hear that, but there isn't any time limit there. It's about the person and where they are in their journey. Persons who initially look close to death and have been deteriorating may stabilize in hospice and improve and actually have a higher quality of life. And in some cases, they improve enough that they're discharged from hospice for a while, and they live a better, well life during that time until they're ready to be back on hospice with us again. Hospice care may not be aggressive care with a whole bunch of tubes and running to the doctor all the time for diagnostics, but it's highly skilled in providing palliative care via medications, equipment, wound care, exceptional nursing, combined with support for emotional and spiritual needs. Very important part of what we do. Hospice care is very holistic, and the patient is viewed as a physical, emotional, and spiritual being to us. Hospice care is primarily provided in an in-home setting. This could be a patient's own home, a family member's home, an assisted living facility, or a nursing home. We support whatever setting that the patient chooses to call home. There are hospice inpatient units, the GIP that I talked about, to stabilize symptoms and get them back home again. And hospice is about hope. It may be redefining what hope means. Hospice hopes the patient is pain-free, that they spend quality time with loved ones and friends. We provide the support that they need to enable them to do that in the most home-like environment we can. It's not just for the dying. There's other support and resources, listening, counseling, follow-up with families afterwards. And our care starts on admission, involving the family and the loved ones, not just the patient. It's a group of us working together. We help them cope before, during, and after the death of a person. And it's just a wonderful benefit from Medicare and Medicaid. And it's based on criteria that we follow. And when you work with a hospice caregiver, they will always work with you to find solutions and what will work. And the hospice door never closes, and it's never a one-time offer. So if you just take some of that with you and then read also the facts about hospice on the table, it will give you a feel for hospice. More important, something that all of you have access to is Nicole and Carrie right here in the building. If you ever wonder about hospice for a loved one or something that you're going through personally, give them a call and stop by and learn more about it, and they can share with you the facts and help you to understand it better. So I hope you don't mind that I just volunteered you. So, all right. So the National Campus Prayer List, employees and those we serve in the community of Crossville, Tennessee. The administrator, Grant Nearson at Winthrop, Minnesota. For National Campus, Melinda Larson, who will be helping to lead our singing, engagement and stewardship manager. And Wanda Larson, Medicaid pending senior specialist, family members in military service, Elizabeth, Devon, and Lila, family of Donna Williams. And then all the prayers in our private prayer requests have been placed in the basket. So thank you for those. Let's go to prayer together, and then we'll end with a song. Oh God, thank you for being with us right now. We confess that we don't understand why things happen the way that they do, and we don't always understand why illness comes into people's lives. But we do know that you walk every path of life with us, Lord. Remind our patients, clients, and residents that you're walking with them right now. Remind them that you love them, no matter what they're going through. We also pray for their families and our staff that care for them. I also ask this for everyone at National Campus that is here supporting those at the locations. Give all of us your strength as we care for each other. Help us to stop along the road and touch another person's life with your love. God, we thank you that you never leave us, that you never forsake us, and you love us. And we trust you and pray this in your name. Amen. So I'll say a thank you now. Melinda is going to lead us in our song. And Carmen, thank you for accompanying on the piano.
Okay, we're singing page 778, and we're going to sing the first, second, and fifth verse. I think some of you will find this familiar, and it might be new to others, but easy to catch on to. Thank you, Carmen. Have a good day.
Thank you for joining us, and if there aren't enough handouts on the table, take one from another, or Karen Ebling would make you copies. Have a great day.